An illegal migrant now facing deportation after allegedly driving while intoxicated and killing two Wisconsin teenagers in a fatal car crash. And according to local reports, this is not the migrant's first run-in with the law. Back in 2020, she was convicted of drunk driving, and DHS has issued a detainer for the Honduran national's arrest and removal from the U.S., but says the sanctuary jurisdiction has a history of not complying with their requests.
These sanctuary jurisdictions just makes it safe for criminal illegal aliens to roam our neighborhoods. So ICE is dedicated. We will ensure that this drunk driver who killed two American teenage citizens will not be released back into the community to harm someone again.
Joining me now to discuss is former acting ICE director and former federal prosecutor Jonathan Fahey. Jonathan, yet another time we are learning of two beautiful young people killed at the hands of a repeat offender in this country illegally. The preventable nature of these crimes is something that we can never get used to. So what details stand out here to you?
Well, yeah, again, these are so upsetting, and this is really unconscionable. And I think what really stands out is the fact that she had been convicted, I think you said, of drunk driving in 2020. So she should have been removed from this country under any sane or sensible policy with that conviction. But instead, she's in a sanctuary city where they prioritize politics ahead of public safety. And these two young people are dead because of it. And it's so shameful. And what's even worse about it is even with this tragedy, if it were up to this sanctuary city, they'd release her back into the United States, which is just remarkable to me. It's so stunning, and it just shows really what was going on, not only during the Biden administration, but also in some of these sanctuary cities, which thankfully the Trump administration is taking the fight to the sanctuary cities, by doing multiple things to prevent other things like this from happening again. But no parent should have to go through this. No friend should have to go through this. And this was a preventable tragedy, like you said, which makes it even worse.
She was in this country illegally. She was convicted of drunk driving in 2020, and she's still in this country in 2025. Like you said, wouldn't it make sense that if you're in this country illegally and commit a crime, you get immediately deported? What needs to change there? Is that federal or state law?
Well, a couple of things need to change there. Most of these are because of state sanctuary city policies that are allowing people to stay for political purposes because they want to encourage illegal immigration. What needs to change is what this administration is doing. Tom Homan has talked about multiple times flooding the zone, which he means is sending more ICE agents, more resources to these sanctuary cities to get rid of the most dangerous people. The other thing that the administration is doing, which they'll continue to do, is suing these sanctuary cities because they're violating the supremacy clause, because federal law is supreme to state law and state ordinances. And the final thing that I think is coming next is they're going to investigate these sanctuary cities for alien harboring, which is a federal criminal offense, because what they are doing is encouraging people to reside in this country illegally, plus they're shielding them from deportation authorities, which are federal offenses and federal criminal offenses. So all of those things are coming. They need to come because sanctuary cities need to come to an end, because we should not be on this show talking about the next one of these if it could be preventable.
Yeah, okay, so there's also been developments in the Russia investigation. Now, the Trump administration is investigating the investigators and people closely linked to this case. Here is CIA Director John Ratcliffe explaining why he believes Hillary Clinton and former CIA Director John Brennan won't be protected by the statute of limitations. Listen here.
I'll leave it to Pam Bondi and our Department of Justice, Kash Patel and our FBI to investigate the conspiracy to do what and what charges that they're capable of bringing. But again, I don't think statute of limitations are going to impact, because in a conspiracy, Maria, the statute of limitation doesn't start to run until the last act in furtherance of that conspiracy.
So what do you think about that? Is prosecuting Hillary Clinton realistic? And what are your thoughts on this case, this investigation reshifting into focus?
Well, as far as prosecuting someone, I think it's too early to tell. He is right. The statute of limitations doesn't run until the conspiracy ends, so that would be something to be looked into. But what they found out is really pretty alarming. And I think President Obama's statement was almost one of the most striking, because he was sort of like, he made this statement like, oh, this is a bunch of nonsense. However, everyone knew the Russians didn't really do anything to influence the campaign, which if that was true and everyone knew that, why did he allow the Democrats to go on for the next years saying that Russians did influence the campaign? And I think the worst thing about this really is the fact that Hillary Clinton's campaign essentially started this whole thing by paying for the Steele dossier and handing it to the FBI under false pretenses. And this wasn't known until, I believe, October of 2017. And then when it was known, it was almost treated like it wasn't that big a deal, as opposed to the huge deal that it is. But I do think they need to get to the bottom of this and find out what happened.
Jonathan Fahey, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your insight, as always.